Well, Strange New Worlds tried again. Most of their efforts stumble, but at least there's some trying, but it's, yeah. So far, there's only one episode they did that comes across as a Star Trek episode, and that was in last season. They also had the Tomorrow, in which I kind of liked, as silly as it was, but it's the one that I think there's no way around it. It confirms these are alternate timelines and that sort of thing. Whatever. A few other things, but all it ever does is maybe some of these cast members could have done a good Star Trek show, provided someone wrote one for them. Not as the characters they're playing, not Spock and Pike and Kirk and all that. But, what are you going to do? It is what it is. After doing the show that they thought would really be silly and everyone would get a kick out of it. So they do a Kirk episode, another one of those. So Kirk is on the Farragut. He's second officer, or first officer rather. Again, this is an alternate timeline, so his captain is a female Vulcan, so that's not the timeline. So obviously this would have to be an alternate timeline, but nevertheless, that's the deal. And then, oh no, some great disaster happens and they're in trouble. The Enterprise shows up to rescue them, and then gets caught with this monstrous vessel. And that's about it. It's very simplistic. Are they stealing from other stuff? Well, they're stealing from Star Trek, of course, but they're supposed to be a Star Trek show. Some elements of this reminded me of the Doomsday Machine, but the ginormous ship, and it's huge. It actually swallows the Enterprise, like it's a giant monster. It has like a skull face in the front. Its mouth opens. And it just has tentacles all over the place and that kind of thing. And because the Farragut is already so badly damaged, the ship is a giant scavenger, and it just goes around stealing other people's stuff and adding that technology to their own. And so the Enterprise was the better ship, so they grab it, and it's still pretty much intact and all that, so they ignore the Farragut. So Kirk and Spock, Chapel, and Uhura, and Scotty, yes, the band is united for the first time. They beam over to help out with rescuing the Farragut crew and all that sort of stuff. And then, oh no, the Enterprise is seized by the monster ship and then disappears. Now, turns out there's legends about this ship all across the galaxy. Different colonists have heard of it. The Klingons know about it, so on and so forth. And it's these guys in this giant ship that just exploded a planet. Basically, it erupted out of a planet right in front of the Farragut and everything. It's all, spectacular scenes and stuff. Their space scenes have always been cool to look at. It's too bad there's not much of a story there, But anyway, this is supposed to be some test of Kirk's first true command experience, at least this alternate timeline Kirk. And Spock and everyone. So they have these scenes where at first they're not sure, but then they begin to realize there's something about this guy. He's got it or whatever, and that kind of stuff. And for them, it's rather lackluster, but again, they're trying, and it kind of works out here and there. Except at some point, when he finally comes up with a plan and an idea of what to do, and he's giving his orders and stuff, and then at first he's a bit short with them and a bit angry and stuff, and then he says, "Hey, look, I was a little rough with you, but let me try to explain this," or whatever, that kind of thing. The Uhura and Chapel, all of a sudden, they just look at him lovingly. Because they're just to evoke that, wow, he's really great, I don't know. It's just but whatever. So he sets about the plans, and they enact it. Meanwhile, the Enterprise, of course, stuck inside the guts of the giant monster ship, and Pike they get boarded by these space pirates, what have you, and there's a gun battle, but their weapons and their spacesuits are heavily armored, and the crew's pretty much outclassed, but they figure it out. They fight, back and forth. Pike and Leon, or Lon, Lady Khan, I call her, they do most of the fighting with them. And so eventually they're able to figure out how to get out. But the thing of it is, the aliens jam their communications, and so even their personal communicators don't work, so they can't talk to each other on the ship. But fortunately, their old lady engineer, I forget her name, the woman who taught Scotty everything he knows, of course, and she's also a member of Guinan's race, so she's, centuries old and all that stuff. Well, she has a collection of stuff she's kept over the years, and for whatever reason, she really liked telephones. So she's got a bunch of telephones just sitting in her storage room or quarters, whatever. Yeah, she's allowed to have that. And she digs those out, and they connect them up, and they're able to talk to each other on the phone. Isn't that nice? It rings and everything. It's silly. So anyway, that's how they solved that problem. So anyway, they're able to coordinate a means by which to free the Enterprise and drive it out of the monster ship and out of its mouth and all that. So they do. Meanwhile, the Farragut has managed to catch up with them, and little by little help the Enterprise attack the ship and everything. And then eventually their phasers didn't work, but with the mouth open, and then Spock realizes, hey, we could fire your torpedoes. And so they fire the photon torpedoes into it, and it goes inside and explodes in the chain reaction, what have you, and the whole thing is destroyed. Oh, but then the big reveal. Yes. Pike is able to mortally wound one of the pirates, and when he catches up to the guy, he bleeds out and dies on the floor. He takes the guy's helmet off, and he's human. And then Spock, doing the analysis, was the crew of the monster ship. They're human. And Kirk's like, what? And so now there's just tons of human bodies floating around in space, and Kirk's like, oh my God, I just killed all those people. Well, yeah, but they were trying to kill you, I mean, that's just the way it goes. But now that you know they're human, you feel bad. Now, do you really want to put this in these are people who've been living among multiple alien species and whatnot. It's perfectly normal for them. But you said it here that none of them really care about any of them, except for the ones that are kind of human, So the big reveal is that the monster ship was originally a spaceship from Earth by a bunch of scientists at the end of World War III. And of course, the old engineer lady was there when this happened. She suddenly remembers because they see the hull of the ship. And the ship has been added to over the centuries, and these are the descendants of those original astronauts who left the Earth after World War III, hoping to find a better world and for mankind to survive. This was pre-warp days, so it took them a while. But along the way, they found other technology and whatnot, but they just went around just attacking people and stealing their stuff. So, I mean, it's several generations later, so maybe the first generation didn't do that, and then they became this mythological monster amongst the different planets in the galaxy, So, but oh gee, they Kirk felt bad about it, because I didn't know they were human. So anyway, the whole thing is just say, hey, look, it's the actual crew meeting together for the first time, and all that type of stuff. And But it's an alternate timeline, so it's not really the original crew at all. None of this works as an actual prequel to Star Trek. So the only way to appreciate it, if you want to appreciate it, is that it's alternate timeline. But that being said, to its own, well, they basically did this story, and I don't know that they're aware that they did this, but it means most of the humans in Federation don't care about aliens that they don't. I guess Spock they'll count because he's half human, but everybody else, as soon as they realize these guys weren't human, oh no, oh gee, and then find out they're actually descended from Earth, oh man, except for that. Wow, that's weird. Huh, how about that? Man, it's too bad they turned into these monsters. They do talk, man, I wonder what drove them to become what they became, that's too bad, that kind of thing, but still. Oh, well. So, well, they've had worse episodes overall, and certainly this season. The second one was stupid. The one trashing Gene Roddenberry was pretty bad, and William Shatner. This one was, the one before it, I guess, was more of an effort, but some of those elements is stuff I'm sure they stole. I'm blanking on it at the moment, but that's another one where they tried, at least that. So, Kirk defeated the monster ship, so there you go.